how do you overcome that with something where you know how leadership works, you know the history, you know how things go, and how do we set that aside and try to make progress?
I liked the question that you posed already of if it were a friend of yours, what would you tell them to do?
Yep.
I find that trick works really well for me when we're thinking about, are you a glass half full person or are you glass half empty?
Yep.
I probably tend to be more a realist. And if I know I asked for something or I had created a solution and it didn't work out because of many different factors, then I'm less likely to do it again.
Mhm.
But if I take myself kind of out of that equation in my head, I think that's a really good practical
Mhm.
exercise, if you will, of okay, if I were to have like a mentee who was coming to me and this was happening on their team, what would I tell them to do?
Mhm.
Pretend that's you.
Yep.
And that helps you get outside of the mindset of, well, 2 years ago we tried this and we didn't have the budget.
Right.
So it allows you to like have a bigger picture mindset.
Right. Yeah, I've seen some consultants who have not been the wise guru who has the answers for everything and do an effective job of helping you understand what options you have
Mhm.
and you understand what the pros and cons of things are and mostly just help you talk through it so that you can decide for yourself because if someone else is deciding for you, it's probably not going to work.
Right. I do think half the battle with this, we've talked about this in other podcasts, is a lot of limiting beliefs come from you don't feel like leadership will support you, or you don't think you'll have the budget, you don't think you'll have the resources. But the other half of it is whatever the problem is that you're trying to solve, have you fully sized that? And have you fully, and lots of times third party consultants can have it's an easier perspective, I guess, to be able to look at a problem and say, okay, this is how much time or money it's costing you. But that's also a good exercise to start with
Yep.
for have I sized the issue, the pain point, start there, and then flip it on its head of, okay, how much could we spend
Yep.
to fix this?
Yeah. Anytime someone comes to us with an ask, we again start to understand why. And part of that is saying, is there a business driver? Are you trying to grow by 2 times? Are you trying
Mhm.
to be more efficient and spend half the time? Are you trying to onboard new employees because you're trying to grow and you need to streamline an onboarding process? I usually throw those over the wall to someone so that they can maybe get outside of exactly what they're asking for and connect those dots for me. And I just had a recent lead say, "Hey, if you can double our business, I'm all for it. Let me know if you can. I don't know if you would be able to, but like that all of a sudden got a bunch of gears spinning and became really interesting
Mhm.
because that's something that they're interested in, and I maybe we can contribute to that. So hopefully the work that we would do for them connects those
Yeah.
dots.
I think even as a consultant, which I've been for 20 years now, you show up to even the conversations with either potential new clients or somebody who's got a problem for you to solve with a kind of a preconceived notion about how it might go,
Mhm.
right? Because you're like, well,
You're already playing it out in
they're
your
not going to
head.
spend that much money on this thing, right?
Mhm.
It can't be that valuable, but getting at the why will uncover the value, right? And it'll cause everybody in the conversation to think about it a different way. And so that's like, even I have to like come to every conversation with, okay, I'm going to ask a bunch of questions,
Yep.
right? And I'm going to put questions in their mind that
Yep.
maybe they haven't thought of.
Yeah. It has
and
been hard.
yeah,
We're solutioners, right? We
yeah,
know how it all works. We know the intricacies, and as soon as someone brings up a problem, our mind is spinning, just wanting to solve it
Yep.
because we're problem solvers. And so it has been uh, a a skill that we have been developing over time is
Yep.
hit the brakes on that. Just be really good at asking questions. Let them do all the talking. Make sure you understand very deeply
Yep.
what they're trying to do before you start to even suggest what the solution might be.
Yep.
And then asking clarifying questions of not just latching onto one thing one person said
Mhm.
or even one thing maybe you said. It's like ask yourself, okay, but why is that an issue and why is that, and try to drill down deeper and deeper
Mhm.
with yourself or with your own team before you just say, like Mitch was saying, before you go to that person and say, this is what we need, it's like, this is the problem we're trying to solve.
Yeah. And I find it's even difficult. Say we're looking for help on something. I need to be intentional about not saying, here's exactly what we need, and you're the person.
Yeah.
I need to play that role and articulate our why, because then that just like shortcuts the whole conversation and helps them understand quickly.
And I think ultimately what we're trying to get at is that you remove a lot of pain from all of these conversations and just stress and anxiety. I mean, looking back on problems I tried to solve from more of an employee mindset at other organizations, I feel like had I started with some of these exercises, started with some of the questions, started drilling down on the why, I could have avoided many months, if not years, of not getting to a solution or not, sitting there thinking, well, it's never going to happen, and just getting in that negative spin. Yeah, you can avoid that if you start thinking like a consultant.